So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the much anticipated lesson in which we're going to be going through the interface of the Canva thumbnail editor section, right? And I'm going to be showing you all of the things that you need to have in mind before you start editing your thumbnails in Canva. In general, in this lesson, we're pretty much covering everything regarding the different selections and the different things that you can apply to your thumbnails. And we're not just going to be sticking to the basics. So I'm not just going to show you like how to manipulate an image and how to let's say, position an image from one part of the thumbnail to another. We're going to go through every single thing that you need to have in mind before importing your images that we just shot to the software. So once we import the images in the next, again, lesson of this course, you know exactly how to manipulate them. So thank you very much for being here. Let's launch Canva. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So this right here is the homepage of Canva. These are all the different projects, right, that I've created, but we don't really care about these. In order to access the thumbnail editor, let's say, part of Canva, I can either click here, which says YouTube thumbnail, or I could go to search on content on Canva and I could just type thumbnail, right? And once I type thumbnail, you can see that you can click on YouTube thumbnail and it's going to give you a huge series of different templates, but we're going to dive into these templates in just a moment. What you want to be doing is you want to click on create a blank YouTube thumbnail. And once you create this, and by the way, this applies to every single image usually that I also edit in Canva. So when I'm editing images in Canva, I edit them in the YouTube thumbnail editor section. It doesn't really matter where the upload destination will be of this image that you're going to be creating. What we really care about is the aspect ratio, which is exactly the, let's say, the characteristics of your image, right? And this is a horizontal image with the exact same aspect ratio that is perfect for YouTube. So what do we see here? We said we have our blank page in which we get to choose whatever we're going to do with it. We have all of these sections right here. So you can have like design, elements, text, brand, uploads, draw, projects, and apps. And we're not going to be using most of these except, of course, elements, text, and upload, right? And what you can see here says we have these tools right here. So we have this button, which says duplicate page. If we do this, obviously the page duplicates. And once we select this page, we can actually delete the second one. So we can duplicate pages and we can A/B test, for example, thumbnails. If you have a thumbnail that you feel that it's perfect, but it needs a small correction, you can go ahead and duplicate it and just apply the small corrections in the second one, right? And you have this, which is just called add page, and this is the exact same button as this right here, which says add page. From here, you can zoom it out and zoom in your thumbnail, right? And you can do pretty much great view of all of your pages once you create them. I guess we have just one page, so we can really great view the pages. You get the point. So once we click on an element on Canva, so I click on this, you can see that we opt in to edit it, right? So again, whenever you click on something in Canva, you have the ability to edit it. And in this case, what we can do, because this is the background right here, we can change the color of the background. And we do this by clicking on the color selection. And once we click on the color selection, this color wheel right here, you see that this menu pops up in which you just get tweak and choose the different colors of our background. So this is how you just pretty much can immediately change the colors of your background. Now, usually in our thumbnails, we will never just keep the simple background from Canva. We're going to be editing the background. And there are actually multiple approaches on how to create a thumbnail at this point. The first approach that I'm going to show you is to create a thumbnail based on the Elements tab. So as you can see, again, you have the Design tab in which you can access to all of the different templates, right, of Canva. You can see that all of these are already made thumbnails from expert graphic designers in Canva, and you can go ahead and click them, import them in your page, and edit them. So for example, let's say that you really like this thumbnail right here, which is passive income ideas. I clicked on it and you can see that it immediately imported to my page. Now I can click this and I can go ahead and edit this thumbnail to whatever I want. So you can see that I can drag and drop, change the positioning of all of the elements. I can delete this element, for example. I can import my image. And this, if you're not like an expert and you don't want to dig that deep into thumbnail design, let me just press Command Z to delete it, right? If you're not an expert and you don't want to become an expert and you don't want to dig deep into the thumbnail world and you just want to create thumbnails at work on Canva, what you could really do is source design elements. So source already made templates and just replace the subject with your subject. I'm going to show you how to do this in just a second. So for example, this could be a good thumbnail, right? If you replaced the subject with you. This is the subject that they have. I can delete it and I can go ahead and import and replace mine. And once you actually click on an already made template in Canva, you have the opportunity, you have the choice, right, it recommends you other very similar thumbnails like yours. Right? So you can see that all of these are similar thumbnails. And if I go back, you can see that we have all of these different thumbnails from all of these different, let's say, again, types of thumbnails. For example, this is a more artistic type of thumbnail. You can see that all of these thumbnails are the exact same, have the exact same, let's say, artistic vibe, which is cool, right? It's very cool. You can play around with the templates. You can check it out. You can see different styles. You can apply your style, for example, in the thumbnails. Templates, editing thumbnails from templates is a good place to start if you are a complete beginner. But let's say that you want to add more stuff to your thumbnail, which you can find in the templates. For example, I want to add, let's say, literally whatever, right? Let's say that I want to add like a small tennis ball right here in my thumbnail, just because. How do I do this? So you can go to elements, right? And in these elements, you have this amazing search button right here. So I want you to think of elements as pretty much everything. So elements are like videos, photographs, graphic designs, shapes, anything. So let's say you want a tennis ball. You go ahead and click on the search bar and write tennis ball. There you go. Right, and you can see that you have now graphics of tennis balls, different graphics you can source. You have photos of tennis balls, all of these photos. You have videos of tennis balls. Of course, this would make any sense to upload a video in our thumbnail because our thumbnail is supposed to be an image. You have frames of tennis balls, audio, mock-ups, shapes of tennis balls. Obviously, there's no shapes of tennis balls. But how would I go to source a tennis ball? If I had to, I would click on this, and you can see that now we have this tennis ball in the middle of our frame. You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger, right? You can adjust it, place it wherever you want, right? From these, again, selections right here. But you can, again, select the size, change the size, place it wherever you want. Now, of course, a tennis ball does not apply to this thumbnail. It makes no sense to add a tennis ball to this thumbnail. I just wanted to show you how to search, how to source stuff, and you can source them from the elements. Now, another thing you can do is you can source text, and you can either source text from here, from the text tab, add a text box, add a heading, add a subheading, right? Or what I love to do is that I would love to source. I love to source templates already made with text that I really love. So, for example, let's say that obviously this title right here, which says playlist, is, let's say, the main title of this thumbnail. This is why we chose this thumbnail, because it has this huge title that says playlist, and I really like the style of it, right? So what we can do is that we can press Command C to copy it, Command V to paste it if you have a MacBook, or you can right click and press duplicate, right? So now this title is duplicated, and we can go ahead and write whatever we want. You can change the size of it, and now we've sourced a title that we really, really like. And even if you don't want to use this template right here, if you really like this title, you can go ahead and click on add page, and now you have a new page. And let's say that I really like this title from another thumbnail of mine. I can click on it, right click, right, copy. But here, click on the new page, right click, paste, and you have this exact title in your thumbnail, which you get to choose and tweak however you want, right? So does this make sense to you, right? You can click on this also if you want to edit your titles and subtitles. Of course, it's the exact same thing as if I would edit a new heading from here, right? I can go ahead and click on this heading, and I can tweak all of this stuff when I click on the heading. So I can change, let's say, the size of it. I can change the different style of the heading. I can change the color, right, to my brand colors. For example, this is my brand kit. A brand kit is pretty much like the different colors of my brand that I have selected. Then I can tweak them, right? And I can just apply the colors of my brand to every title. So it's like I have a consistent branding coloring. You can also see that Canva has this artificial intelligence that automatically suggests you the colors of the photograph that you have already sourced. So for example, what Canva did here is that it analyzed the colors, the main colors of this photo right here, and now it suggests them as photo colors. So you will see that this color, for example, really applies to my image. This is also another way to move stuff from one page to another, from one thumbnail to another. If you want, you can just drag and drop them. So you can see that this color is harmonious to my image, and this color too, and this color too, right? It's just a way for Canva to suggest you colors that blend in with your image in a smooth way, which I think it's absolutely genius, because guess what? Now we do not need to know color theory, which professionals do, right? Professionals do need to know color theory, but we don't, because we now have artificial intelligence on Canva, which is absolutely amazing. Other things that you can change in your titles once you click on them are obviously if they're going to be bold or not, if they're going to be, again, italics or not. You can underline them, you can cross them, right? So for example, I love to cross thumbnails in which I mention the word ads, and I like to do it red, right? So I just add ads on red, which means that you don't need to invest money in ads. This is part of like my marketing in general. It's a trick that I want to do, that I like to do, just writing down the word ads, just crossing it out so people know exactly that I don't want to pay for ads in my campaign. I'm getting off topic here. Now you can change the alignment of your title. Obviously, you know that stuff. It's very basic. You can add a list, and you can also change the transparency. And transparency doesn't only make your title disappear, but what transparency really does is, you can see right here, I can change the transparency of playlist. You can see that, again, you can see what's behind your title, right? You can see what's behind your title, which is very cool. You can also animate them, but this is a story for another time, because again, we're not trying to animate our thumbnails. Those are just images, right? So you have other titles that you can use from here, title recommendations. I do not like in general these title recommendations right here. What I like to do if I want to source a new title, because again, check this out. If you source a heading, for example, let's say that we source a heading. I do not like this lettering, right? And in order for me to understand the lettering, I need to click here and see all of these different fonts and see which font I like the most. But in general, I don't really like any of them. So what I like to do is actually almost never source a heading from here. I go to I go to design, and I see all of the different thumbnails. And I see an already made thumbnail that I just like the letters, right? The title. For example, not obviously what the title says, but how the text is positioned in the title. So for example, this is, let's add as a new page. This right here is a very random thumbnail, which is obviously out of my niche. So I don't even know what mukbang is. I think it's people eating with an ASMR. Yeah, obviously it's this one. What I do is that I really like this style right here. I like the fact that it's glowing, and I really want to use it in my thumbnail. So what I would do is that I would click on add page. Now we have this new page, and I would simply Command C, Command V this title into this page right here. Now obviously you can't really see this title, but if I go ahead and change the coloring, so go here and change the text color, now suddenly you can obviously see this title, right? And let's say that I want to use it. And here I have it, I just sourced it. Now I can go ahead and delete this. And guess what? I'm left with just the title that I wanted to subtract from this, again, element that we sourced, right? So this is how you just source titles from your element. In general, it works, right? And now you know exactly how to source what you love from each element. And again, keep in mind that if you're a complete beginner, you don't want to mess with, again, understanding how to design thumbnails and, again, basic graphic design applications in Canva. The easiest thing you can do is just, again, source a thumbnail that you like, right? So again, browse the thumbnails right here from design tab, see one that you like, and it would be easy for you to recreate. Click on this, for example, or replace current page, and we just delete the subject and import our subject right here. And we kind of like stole the thumbnail, and you can also like change these text right here, these titles right here, to again apply it to your preference, and of course match the thumbnail with your title, right? So that's important. Now that we know in general the overview of Canva and some basic applications on how to tweak stuff in Canva, we do not need to go into more detail to analyze the draw tools and stuff, because we're never going to be using them. I'm going to show you in practice how to import the photos that we shot together, right? So the photos that you shot of yourself with the different expressions, and how to start editing these photos inside of Canva, right? So in the next lesson of this course, we're uploading, dragging and dropping pretty much the images that we produced, right? Using the principles that I show you, we're uploading them into Canva. I'm showing you exactly how we can edit them inside our thumbnails, right? So more information about this in the next lesson of this course.